So today I'm going to just kind of help you guys to kind of look at ways to customize your contacts, the values that you care about for your business. Okay, so this might be different for each of you as you customize it, but I just want to help you kind of be able to kind of customize it for your own purpose. So on here, I'm going to go to under contacts, and I'll go to all contacts first and get to the contact list. So I'm going to go to contacts, all contacts, click here, and and you'll see the list, right? So we're going to get down into the contact record. So in order to make any edits on the field values, the drop downs, or to change the labels, stuff like that, you have to go to a contact record, and it can be anybody, because you make that change for the individual record, like change the label name, you change it for all system, for every of your entire database. Okay, so I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go click on view, and I'm going to click on more. So it's going to pop up a new screen for me. Okay, so it's going to be one more click that I'm going to go through. So this shows you the overview of the contact right now, but in the upper right hand corner, I'm going to click into the edit mode, which is right here in the upper right hand corner. And that opens up all the detailed records, right? The overviews just showed you only information that you have pertaining to what information you have on that contact. But when you go into the edit view, it shows you all the blank spots, right? Like, salutations blank, the alternate email or phone number is blank, and so forth, right? So this gives you like all the edit mode to kind of look at all the values here. Now, for this record here, any of these field names, I want you to know that you can kind of like edit and make changes. So if you notice how if I kind of hover over each of the fields, there's a little pencil mark that comes up on each one of them. You guys see this? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that means that I can hit edit and change the field name anywhere on the records that you see this. Okay, so if I didn't want the word office number and I want to just put main number, I can change that here, hit save. Okay, and now that's been saved. So when I say when I see this, it will change to main number for all records, not just for Nicholas Claus, right? So I'll show you what I mean by that. If I go to another contact and I click on myself, okay, you'll see in here main number. I've changed that, right? So it changed for not just only for Nicholas Claus, but also for myself as well too.
Mm-hmm. Also too, it changes your smart tag. So just remember that as you're changing that, it's going to change it throughout the system. So all your smart tags will be renamed.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. And so we're just covering some of the basics of like kind of tweaking some of the field names and kind of allowing you to customize it for your own purpose. Okay. So on here, notice I've changed this, to office number to main number. I'm going to revert back so that I don't confuse when when people sign up and we're doing additional training. So I'm going to revert this back to office number, right? So now this will change back all of that. All contacts will have office number as the label name. The next other thing as well too, if you see like preferred communication style here, there's a drop down, and by default, it'll say, hey, these are my default names, default phone number, default cell phone, and work number, and so forth. We can modify all of this here and modify your drop downs by hitting manage items too. Okay, so you can make changes to all of this. If it doesn't show you the pencil or the ability to remove this, or the ability to to remove or edit this, these are default information here. Okay, you cannot remove those ones. Those are the only ones you cannot remove by default, system created. Okay, but you can always add a new one. It doesn't make sense for this one. For preferred communication styles, only email, alternate email, phone number, cell phone, work, or text, right? But so it doesn't make sense to kind of have one more version, but let me kind of show you somewhere else that will make more sense. Okay. So let's say in here, spheres. Okay. You've got, by default, it has a lot of these values here. You got attorneys, past associate, broker, business owner, and so forth, right? Let's say that there's one person, one particular group that you work with. I'm just going to make this up, PTAs, right? From the school. I don't see it in here. I want to be able to add this to my system. So I want to be able to click on, I'll type in PTA, hit save, and I'm done. And now PTA should now be here at the very bottom here. Okay, so this is like for you to customize with different groups, different plans that you might have. If you're in a different business as well too, you've got additional business like like Jackie does with real estate, you can kind of customize this, and you can hopefully see that you have the ability to customize this to add additional values in here that doesn't just only keep you locked into one particular way of working, right? We want to make it so that it ties to the way that you're working for your business, how you operate, so that you can kind of like customize this for yourself. Okay, so you can, like I said, in here for any of the drop downs that you see here, like, or the multi-select. So this is called a multi-select, where I can click on this here. I can hit multi-select. This is called multi-select. Okay, or any of the drop downs. So like the groups here, if I want to add one more group here, I can click on manage items and add it from there too. Okay. Any questions so far? This is pretty simple. Yes,
I might just add that one of the ways some of people are using the spheres is if you have groups of people, chamber members, church members, your ski club, whatever, that when you put them in, if you create them as a sphere, then you can always go look up those members too of that group. And when you upload it in or put it in Sparky, you can just tell them, add them to that group. And so those people go in there immediately. So it's another way to, as you're prospecting, search through different groups that maybe you haven't reached out to, but you kind of can categorize some of those groups that you work with on a weekly or monthly basis.
That's a great point, actually. That's a really good point. So yes, I agree. Like whenever, why do you want to customize this? Is so that the question that Jackie brings up is a really good point. It's like whenever, why do you want to customize this, is because then you can make it, you can tag those or categorize those contacts for yourself so that when you want to look them up again, it's easily found. Okay. Sorry, Allison, you said you had a question.
Yeah, I do. Up where you have plans, I'm just having a hard time seeing it, plans offered or chosen. Is that, if we're importing our LegalShield at work information, I need to put that heading. What I'm looking for is there in LegalShield at work, there's a description of the plans that each person is signed up for. And I've got some older plans. So if I put that heading on my LegalShield at work column with that information, will it also populate this section?
From an upload perspective, if I hear, do you have an example of the upload, what that would look like?
Well, I can answer that. So yes, okay. I think, Allison, when you pull your Excel sheet off of Ellis at Work, make sure the column says, 1595 legal plan or whatever you want to call that. And then if you have a sphere that's 1595 legal, when you upload it, it's going to go, it'll tag it for that and in here. So you can do it that way.
So if I have a group that's got, it's an old group, so they've got 4 or 5 different plans. And I want to make sure I know which plan the individual has. So there is a column in LegalShield at work that says, talks about the plan and the pricing of each plan. And I want to get that into my database with Fieldnotes.
Yeah. So if you make your column, when you export the Excel sheet, if your column heading matches what you have in here, then you may need several columns if you have several different plans.
Okay. All right.
Or you need to tag them, and put a check in that box or something so that they know which one comes to which place.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
That's a good point. So basically, whatever, just kind of summarize here, whatever data that you're importing into here, there has to exist, like, let's say, the plan names here. If let's say you're downloading from LS at work and you want to import here, like, let's say, the different plans here, it has to match what's already set up in the system. Then it will pull it into there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would have to put in, for my ID shield, it would be 1 credit, 1 bureau ID shield with minors.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you create those values in here by hitting manage items, and then you create all those. And then so when you import that, it will match up. Part of the logic in the system automation is that when it's uploading, it automatically pulls it up, is to kind of validate, hey, does this exist? So if it does match, then it will kind of say, okay, this is probably accurate of what your intent is. And so therefore it pulls that information into the database.
And just a note when you're making those headings, because I've got all of mine in there with all my different pricing. So there's quite a few with the older plans, new plans. Try to make, like, if you see here where he's got the labels that are pulled up, make your spaces match exactly. So if you have, 1B ID space dash space family, if you do it, ID double space, it's not going to put them chronologically together. It's going to move it to a different place in that list.
Yeah.
So, so be really consistent. You might take some time to think about how do you want to make those very short, the labels, and make them consistent for your plans, and write that out first before you go in and start typing what your labels are going to be. And that's what I've done. And I have quite a few in there, but then I can check and find them very quickly because they're all kind of alphabetized almost. So you might say 1 bureau ID family, 21.95 or 15.95 or whatever. So I have a lot of them with the prices on them.
Okay.
So that, but I put the prices at the end because I want the name the same, and then I put the price at the end on some of them. And I've tried it both ways. So it just kind of depends on how you want to do it. I have mine sorted mostly by with all the prices in there, because then I can quickly know what plan I'm talking about.
Yeah, I just thought it would be a good reference if I get a call and somebody says, what plan do I have?
Right.
I could go to LegalShield at work, or I could go to Fieldnotes, either one, but I'd probably write something in my Fieldnotes that I spoke to this individual and they were calling about, and we discussed this. So I would probably go there first.
Right. And like I do, I have my email, my calendar, and my Fieldnotes open all the time, so that I can just go back and forth to those whenever I have to put a note in something. So it's all my notes. I try to make sure that they go right into Fieldnotes as quickly as possible.
So with that, any questions on how to modify the field names, how to modify like the drop downs or the multi-select contact? Basically, the key to this is the manage items that you see on the drop down. You can modify those, right? The key to changing the field names, the key to changing the field names is hitting that pencil and changing it. You want to make sure, you want to make sure that, you think about what fields you want to change. This will also change the smart tags, as Jackie was mentioning. It will change the smart tags on the system, and we'll cover that, through like for the group emails, for the group text messages, or for the action plans that we have. But it will change those names accordingly. And then also, when you guys are bringing a great point, is like, during uploads, you want to make sure that you keep this consistent, and you want those values that you're uploading so that it matches into the system as well. Okay. Thank you for your time, and you guys have a good weekend. We'll see you on Thursday.